Wow, RFK Jr. just cooked Kamala Harris live on News Nation as if he was a chef at a 3-star Michelin restaurant. It is absolutely wild. He literally says that he doesn't believe Kamala Harris is worthy to be president. That is insane. So we're going to go into this clip right now. Other things we're going to get into are this clip from Kamala Harris speaking today about the shooting that tragically happened. And we're going to look into kind of her response as she went in off script. And I kind of have some thoughts right there. And I also want to look at this scene from Pete Buttigieg as he's talking about Kamala Harris's strategy moving forward, as she's kind of dodging these hits that she's been kind of taking from President Trump. And I think that's really, really interesting, as well as we're going to look into this other election forecast. Okay, now back to this first clip with RFK Jr. absolutely cooking Kamala. Check this out.
Well, it became clear to me, Chris, that I was not going to be allowed on the debating stage, which was really my only path to victory. I was already being boycotted by all of the mainstream media, by the liberal media. When Ross Perot ran, in 10 months that he was running for president, he had 34 appearance interviews on mainstream media. In 17 months, I had only 2 live interviews on ABC, NBC, CBS, CNN, and MSNBC. So I couldn't reach that audience. I had no way to grow. And our polling was showing that if I stayed in the race, Vice President Harris would win. And I did not want that outcome. I don't think I don't think that Vice President Harris is a worthy president of this country. I think we need to have a president who can give an interview, who can articulate a vision, who can put together an English sentence, who can articulate her and defend her policies and her record, and who can engage in a debate and regular debates on unscripted appearances. Vice President Harris's speech at the convention made it very clear that she will continue the warfare state, that she's bragging about how she's.
So there's a couple of things there. For one, whenever he's saying that he doesn't believe that Kamala Harris is a worthy president of the United States, the precise vernacular that he uses there is that I don't want that outcome. And I think that's such an interesting phrase, because a while ago I tweeted out saying, like, which of these candidates do you believe is the best singular expression of the future that you want to create? Right? And I had, 3 people on there: President Trump, Vice President Harris, and RFK Jr. Right? And RFK Jr. clearly won, right? Unfortunately, I have a pretty skewed audience, especially on Twitter. There's a lot of Kennedy supporters there, so it was no surprise to me why he won that poll. But at the same time, I just think whenever you actually believe in that question and you take those words seriously, like, which future do you actually want to create, and which person do you believe is more capable? It reminds me of the poll that Mark Cuban even shared a while ago. Let me see if I could find it, but I'll try to bring it up later. But Mark Cuban shared this interesting poll on Twitter where he's like, which person would you rather your child grow up to see as a president? Right? Which person would you rather your child emulate? And everyone, it was a resounding amount of people choosing Trump. And I think that's fascinating because, Mark Cuban's audience is primarily Democratic, right? They're primarily liberal. So I don't know. It's interesting that whenever you phrase a question like that, it kind of shows people where they are. So I think that's fascinating. Now, another perspective was by this person named Jay Scott. He's kind of criticizing Kennedy because Kennedy was saying that obviously Kamala can't put together an English sentence, right? Which is aggressive, right? I hear you. He says she may talk in circles, but saying she can't put together an English sentence sounds like Trump is rubbing off on you. RFK, please don't get dragged down to Trump's level. Keep it to the issues like you did the whole campaign. Don't resort to personal attacks. Sorry. Now, is that fair? Is that fair to say? Is criticizing someone's ability to communicate a personal attack? I don't know. I get criticized for my ability to communicate all the time. I don't know if it's a personal attack. I think it helps me kind of refine my ability. So I don't know. I feel like it's more feedback than an attack. And in terms of could she put together an English sentence, I don't believe Kennedy is saying that just because he wants to attack her. I genuinely believe that he really um, believes in that truth. And there's this clip that I want to play today. This was from today, where Kamala Harris decides to go unscripted as she kind of learns about the shooting that happened in Apalachee High School. So this is really important. And again, this is you could argue this is emotionally distressing. This is a sensitive issue. So it's okay to kind of be fumbling your words around. You could argue that. So I'll play this out. This is about a 2-minute clip, but there's one particular moment that I want us to pay attention to. So I'll let this play out.
But this is just a senseless tragedy on top of so many senseless tragedies. And it's just outrageous that every day in our country, in the United States of America, that parents have to send their children to school worried about whether or not their child will come home alive. It's senseless. It is. We've got to stop it. And we have to end this epidemic of gun violence in our country once and for all. It doesn't have to be this way. It doesn't have to be this way. So we will continue, of course, to send our prayers and our thoughts to the families and all those who were affected, including, I'm going.
Okay, so the first 40 seconds, pretty good, right? I don't think anyone's going to be criticizing her at this point. But just right now, as you can see by the caption, I'm going off script right now. She's about to kind of it looks like she was reading off a teleprompter, or maybe she had some notes. She knew where she was going before. And now she's deciding to go off script. So like Kennedy just described with Chris Cuomo, like his claim is that she doesn't have the ability to do these unscripted performances, right? Which is obviously so critical to being a politician. And like Jay said, that she may talk in circles, but saying she can't put together an English sentence sounds like Trump is rubbing off on you. So I just want to defend Kennedy right now. Okay, I want to defend Kennedy's claim here because today, and this isn't an old clip, this is today, right, where Kamala decides to go off script, and I want you to pay attention to what happens here.
I'm going off script right now, but listen, I mean, at the last year, I started a college tour, and
So it's really interesting to see that. Okay, and again, is this unfair? You could argue it, but to see how dramatic the difference is between whenever she has something prepared and she's just reading off a teleprompter, like at the end of the day, anyone could read off a teleprompter, right? If you have the ability to read and speak, you could almost do what she did in the first 40 seconds, but something changed whenever she decided to go off script. Okay, so Kennedy saying that she doesn't have the juice to be able to do that, I don't know if it's entirely false. Now, again, like I said earlier, you could argue that this is an emotionally distressing time. Like she's heavily concerned with what's happened in Georgia, and this is a sad tragedy. You could say that. All right. To which I would say, isn't it part of the duty as president of the United States to deal with sensitive and tragic moments? Right? I was having this conversation today, and something that was brought up was George Bush whenever he learned about the events of 9/11. And whenever tragedy strikes, to be able to keep your cool and be able to articulate to the American people, to be able to reflect peace, to be able to actually stand your ground. I don't know. There's something to this. We even saw this on July 13th, right? Whenever that terrible thing happened to Trump, what did he do? What did he do? As soon as he could, he stood up and he threw his fist in the air and he said, "Fight, fight, fight." And even Mark Zuckerberg at that point, what did he say? He said, "Oh man, when I saw that, I got to say, something in me just woke up. It was one of the most bad A things I've ever seen in my lifetime." Why? Because people are attracted to that kind of leadership. Okay? And again, I'm going to have all these clips playing out. You could go ahead and listen to this entire moment that Kamala Harris has as she goes off unscripted. I did share this even on my Twitter account, and if you want to follow me on there. But I do think it's kind of interesting to see how people respond to this. And when Kennedy says, like, I don't want that kind of outcome from Kamala Harris, I think this is kind of important to think about. Like, as you look to these people that you might be casting your ballot in for, some people are about to do that early September. And as you're thinking about that future, what outcome do you want? What kind of leader do you want? What kind of strength do you want this leader to portray? I think these are important questions, or at least valid questions. And another thing I want to share is this clip from Joe Rogan with Brett Weinstein, and they're talking about Trump and almost this unity party, and how this message from the Trump campaign is unity, it's togetherness. And they talk about how they believe this is the right message. So I think they have really important thoughts here. So I'll let this play out, but let me know what you think about this.
So I don't know. I do think unity is the right message. I think this is exactly the moment at which people do come together because many people feel the jeopardy. I sincerely hope that what President Trump discovered when he brought Bobby Kennedy on board continues to grow in his mind, because
Wow.
I think actually he has the potential to lead a massive movement to restore the republic and make it function. And that would be, I think it would be wonderful for him. I think he would go down in history as not the polarizing figure that people seem intent on turning him into, but he would go down in history as a galvanizing figure, as really a refounder of the country.
Wow.
I know that will be hard for many people who have thought ill of him to swallow, but I don't know what you think, but the joining of the Trump campaign and Bobby Kennedy
and Tulsi.
Exactly. Precisely. I think what's happened over the past couple weeks has been absolutely extraordinary, and I love seeing people who disagree with each other come together for a greater good. And I just don't see that happening a lot with the Democratic Party. And I think what's fascinating is whenever you see a figure like Kennedy, who is, for ending the wars, someone who's for chronic disease or ending the chronic disease epidemic, as well as stopping censorship, right? And all these critical components of our future, right? And again, he doesn't agree with Trump on anything, but on those things, they are in complete alignment and they are almost looking past their disagreements and choosing to come together for this greater good. And right now, the only thing I'm seeing the Democrats come together in is truly in against Trump. And I think that's really fascinating. And I actually saw this from Pete Buttigieg as he's discussing why Kamala Harris is almost taking the right approach, as just disregarding so much of the critiques that President Trump has been making about her, calling her a chameleon and so forth. So check this out.
The challenge in confronting Trump is that there are certain things that he does that you have to respond to. Just morally, when he lies, you got to correct the lie, which will keep you busy because he does it so often. When he does something wrong, you got to point to it. But it can't be about him. Any energy that goes his way, including energy that goes his way in the form of criticism, turns into a kind of food. He just devours it and gets bigger. And what we've got to learn is how to kind of stiff arm him. So it's almost like a sort of crazy uncle man.
So he's saying that they need to stiff arm him, right? Now, I don't know about you, but I don't see this happening at all. I don't see the Democratic Party stiff arming Trump. I really see the Democratic Party as if they're feeding him, they're feeding into, and you wanna know why I say that? Because look at this. Apparently, Trump was mentioned 147 times on day 1 of the DNC. Trump. And at the RNC, Biden was mentioned twice in all 4 days. Look at this.
Donald Trump.
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 Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Donald Trump.
Donald Trump. Donald Trump.
Trump. Trump.
Who in the hell does he think he is? Who does he think he is?
So again, if the argument is that they're trying to stiff arm him and they're not trying to, pour fuel on the fire, I don't think that's what's happening. I think as evidence shows, they are running an anti-Trump campaign. And you could say that Trump is now running an anti-Kamala campaign. And I think there is some measure there, but I don't think it's as significant as what the Democratic Party is doing. And we still have another 10 seconds here. Let's play this out.
These people are sick.
Okay. But I think that's wild to see. Okay. As well as, like I said, I was going to bring up this a tweet from Mark Cuban. He wrote, "Whose persona and character would you like to see young children grow up to have?" Okay. That's an interesting question. Persona, character. Okay. Kamala Harris at 31%, Trump at 68%. And again, you could call this skewed because maybe you're saying more conservatives are on X. You can argue all you want. All right. At the end of the day, there's over 800,000 votes. That's crazy. This was seen by 17.7 million people. That's wild. Okay. And also, according to Polymarket, this is the latest election forecast with Trump, kind of starting to create a comfortable gap between him and Harris. I think that's fascinating. Also, if we're just looking at kind of this stiff arm that Pete Buttigieg was talking about from the Democratic Party, this is Kamala Harris, this Kamala HQ, right? And just look at how often they're showing Trump here, right? So this is just today. You see 3 clips from Kamala, but you see Trump, Vance, Trump, right? I believe he's a Trump. So again, I just don't agree with what Pete Buttigieg is saying here. I think they know that they're running an anti-Trump campaign, and I think they're just completely okay with that. So when I see things like this Trump ad is so good. Like I'll just play this out for a bit.
Much left at the end of the month. Costs are still too high. A loaf of bread costs 50% more today than it did before the pandemic. Ground beef is up almost 50%. We did it, Joe.
Okay, so apparently that's a new ad going around for Trump, and it is an anti-Kamala ad. Okay, it is. And unfortunately, I wish we were having more meaningful conversations. I wish we were talking about, the outcome that people want, the future that people would rather live in, more policy-oriented commercials, ad space. I would love to have that. And maybe after the debate, we'll start seeing it. But for right now, that's kind of where we are. But let me know what you think about this. I know we had a lot of conversations today. I'd love to know where you're at. What do you think about this election forecast? What do you think about RFK body slamming Kamala Harris by saying that she's not worthy to be president of the United States? I think that's wild. Do you agree with this person that says that she may talk in circles but saying she can't put together an English sentence? Sounds like Trump's rubbing off on you. Do you agree with that? I don't necessarily think I do for, this precise reason, as I shared on X with this video. And I love looking at, kind of as history has shown strong leaders, I think looking back at how critical some of these moments have been and how people respond, like psychologically, how they're prepared, how they lead people. And I think that's just really, really fascinating. And do you agree right here with this clip from the Joe Rogan podcast? I believe that unity is the correct message. And I just don't think that we're seeing this kind of unity with the Democratic Party. So anyways, let me know what you think about all that. I can't wait to read all your comments and see where you guys are at. Anyways, hope you have a great day, and I will see you all next time. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching and listening. I appreciate your time so much, and I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you'd like to support what we're building here, please like and subscribe. It means a lot and it really helps us out. And if you want to see even more content from me, make sure to follow me on Instagram. I'm going to be sharing a lot more on there. Thank you so much. Have a great day, and I'll see you next time.